What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Ask Steven Show. Can we call it a show now? This is episode 2. I'm Steven. You guys ask me questions regarding chiropractic school, health, life, anything chiropractic related, and I'm here to do my best to answer these questions. It's episode 2. Let's get into this thing, guys. I'm excited about this one. Today is Friday. Here, actually, very shortly, I'm going to be heading out to a seminar. And I'm looking at my calendar right now. I just realized that pretty much for the rest of this quarter, I'm fully booked on the weekends, just recognizing there. So that's very exciting, very pumped about that. Let's see, I'm going to South Carolina here today for the seminar this weekend. Next weekend is Easter weekend. So going up to Nashville to spend time with my family. Really excited about that one. Then I'm heading to Wisconsin on my birthday weekend at the end of April. So that's it for this month, and then looking up for the month of May, fully booked. I'm going to be doing some more things there, so really excited. A lot of things going on. I hope you guys are all well, so let's just get into this show. All right, I got a few questions here on my phone. I'm going to look through. Today's Friday, like I said, so the first episode was filmed or uploaded yesterday on Thursday, so I did get a couple questions in. For those that don't know, this is the Ask Steven Show. This is the second episode. You can go check the first one out if you haven't already. I'll link it in the description for you. And yeah, basically you guys ask me questions regarding chiropractic school and I do my best to answer them. So let's go ahead. Let me bring this up and let's see what questions we have. So first question, we got one from my man Heath. And Heath, he asked a couple questions here. First he asked, do you plan to start a practice right out of college or work for another doctor? So I'm going to answer this one first and we'll get into a second part of this question here. Essentially, this is, do you open your own practice out of school or do you associate work for another practice out of school? Highly debated topic, one that's talked about a lot here in school. And what I have come to understand for myself is, I'm preparing as if I were going to build my own clinic out of school with the intention that I'm actually going to work for a highly respected, a highly admired doctor out of school to gain 2 to 3 years of experience that I can then leverage to build and to have a better understanding for whenever I build my practice. And so what I mean by that is, look, I'm maximizing my time and my effort while I'm in school to learn everything I need to learn, to build that confidence up, to build a practice outside of school. However, I'm also not in a hurry to build a practice. I think a lot of people are impatient in that they think, they have that timeline built up in their head where they think they have to be at this level by 30, this by 40, this by 50, and they think of their entire life that way, and because of that, they are in a hurry to get somewhere really quick. That's not necessarily how I like to think of my life. I'm in this thing for the long term. I don't have any intention of retiring at 40. I plan on living at a full and long career for myself. Why? Because I'm a passionate guy. I'm an energetic guy. I care about legacy and purpose and helping other people. And because of that, I think if I had to predict my career, I imagine I'm gonna have a very long career in my life. So, if I look, like I said, I have my birthday coming up. I'm gonna turn 23 here in 2 weeks. Whenever I graduate, I'll be 25. And, if I'm counting my cards right, I recognize that I'm gonna have another 50 years of practice in front of me, which is very exciting. And because of that, I recognize I'm in no hurry to get somewhere fast. I recognize the opportunity and the leverage of going to work for a doctor that's highly respected and one of the top doctors in the world, to go learn from them, work under them for 2 to 3 years, and just the experience and the value that would bring, then to take that experience into my practice starting out versus coming out of school and starting out maybe making some mistakes early on in the process, but I take my time as if I'm maximizing my time wisely, so that way it is a choice for me to where I can have that confidence to say, I could open a practice right out of school and it would probably be very, very successful if I wanted to, but instead I'm going to choose to work for a doctor who I highly look up to, where I know it's going to be a great opportunity for me for 2 to 3 years, right? And then to come away with that already having 2 to 3 more years of experience under my belt, versus the other end of that, which is I think a lot of other people fall. You go and associate, for example. I think a lot of people do it because they have to, because they don't have that confidence that they can open up a practice out of school, and so they take the first job that they can get and they do that. And nothing wrong with that, but in my opinion, you can leverage your time so much better while you're in school to learn what you need to learn, get involved outside of school, and really build that confidence up for yourself, so that way you feel confident you could open up, but yet you're patient, right? Where I think most people who set themselves up properly, they just want to go and they want to attack it and go fast. Where I think I will go, since I'm in this thing for the long term, is that whenever I go fast, and I'm prepared and I feel that I'm ready, but rather I'm going to slow down and use those years in my 20s as formative years to really learn underneath the master, so that way in my 30s I can start to apply it, and then by the time I'm 40 I can become, or start the process of becoming, a master at my own craft. So that's how I would project my career we're gonna go. I don't think, I'm not trying to get somewhere by 30, I'm not trying to get somewhere by 40, I think I'm going to start my career when I'm 40. So hope that makes sense, Heath. But to get to the second part of the question here, does Life University have anatomy classes that are broad, or do they have separate anatomy classes for different parts of the body? So essentially, he wants to know how specific is the anatomy here in school. And something I was interested in was medical school. I was pre-med major. I was executive club of the pre-medical club at my college. I took the MCAT, or the practice MCAT. I was scheduled to take the MCAT. That's when I recognized that I necessarily didn't want to go down to medical school. I wanted to find some other career path, ended up discovering chiropractic and really resonated with me, and that's how I chose to come here. The reason why I said that is because I know a lot about medical school and I know a lot about chiropractic school. And so I know, like in chiropractic school, for example, we actually have more anatomy and physiology lecture hours than we do in medical school. Give and take that a lot of that hours is regurgitated and repeated material, versus medical school, they're pretty much like you learn it once and we're moving forward with it. But it's just to show that there are, in chiropractic school, there's a huge significance and huge play on the amount of anatomy and physiology classes that we take while we're in school. So the answer to the question, yes, it's very, very specific. You take the broad anatomy and physiology classes where we're learning basically all the basic parts of the body to kind of review everything that we learned in undergrad, and then we get more into deeper material where we take classes like osteology, which is like, anatomy and the detailed anatomy of the bones and the skull and all of that. We take spinal anatomy, so we learn stuff about the spine, histology. What else we take? Like musculoskeletal gross anatomy, we're looking at all the muscles of part of the body. Now I'm in a class head and neck anatomy, so we're learning all the detailed structures in just the head and the neck region. Very, very detailed stuff. They always say that doctors have to learn a second language because all of the, a lot of the medical terminology is all Latin-based words, and it's so true, especially whenever you're taking a specific class like head and neck, where you're learning all of these specific structures and landmarks, like very, very intricated things. And they're all Latin words, and so you can just memorize the words for what they are, or you can actually learn what the words mean. And if you learn what the words mean, because all of the landmarks and all the anatomy is named based off its structure and function, so if you know what the word means, you understand its structure and function, you know the location and what that landmark or what that muscle or bone serves its purpose for. And in chiropractic school, we're really big on the nervous system, so we have a full class devoted to the central nervous system, a full class dedicated to the peripheral nervous system. So a lot of detailed stuff. The national boards, which is the boards that you have to take to get your chiropractic license, there's 4 parts of them. The part 1 of the boards is all of the basic sciences material, and basic, they say it's basic sciences, but it's very detailed science and anatomy that we take. They're very specific with it. But I think if you can get into the learning style of it, it'll only help you, because you need to know this stuff as a doctor, but also just to pass your boards as well. So, hope that answered the question. Let's get into the next one. Let's move along here. Let's see. Here's another one. Madeline. Hello, Madeline. She asked, "Love your videos. I've learned a lot from them. Just curious, how many hours a week would you say you study?" Good question, Madeline. To best answer that, it depends. It depends on a week-to-week basis. I don't track my hours and say I have to study, 10 hours a week, just because something I'm getting very interested in as I go through this program. Here in 2019, I've become very interested in productivity and efficiency, but in how I'm spending and utilizing my time. So with studying, I read a study recently by a Harvard psychologist where he was looking at a broad spectrum study where he was looking at above average students, that would be like us, and he found that the average of them spent half of their waking hours procrastinating on their work. And if I look back at my undergrad hours, I can certainly attest to say that was true. There are probably a lot of days where I procrastinated more than half of my day. But essentially what I've realized is that if we, school is obviously our top priority, right? It always comes first, especially whenever you're here in school. Like, school becomes your life literally. But I think because of that, we give ourselves these huge blocks of time to study and get work done. And I think because of that, it kind of drags on a bit and we don't maximize our time or use our time most efficiently. So for example, like if we say we're going to study, for 3 hours on this one topic, how much of that 3 hours is really efficient and effective studying versus how many of those hours that we spend using inefficient methods or methods of studying that aren't necessarily best for us in learning the material. How many of those hours that we study, on Instagram or Twitter or watching my videos on YouTube, or, how many of those hours were we distracted? Were we tired? Were we thinking about something else? And the list goes on and on and on about how distractors and how efficient we were in our studying. So something I've been looking at a lot, and I'm looking back just on a weekly basis and reviewing my week, is I'm like, okay, not how much time did I devote to something, but how effective was I at that? And how much effective time did I spend on each thing? So if I'm looking at my classes, for example, I'm looking at how efficiently am I getting my work done. And what I've noticed with that is, rather than say I'm gonna study 10 hours a week, if I give myself 5 hours a week, well, what's gonna happen then? And an experiment I ran was I cut my study time in half, right? And when I did that, what I recognized was my brain kind of went, oh shit, I only have 5 hours to study where I'm used to 10, I gotta get the ball rolling. And I did this experiment, and what I found was very interesting. I found that as I gave myself less time to study, I naturally became more efficient, and I started to use study methods that were more effective for me to learn. And so one thing I noticed was, for example, whenever I was studying a lot of the anatomy classes, I would rewrite the notes out. So I would take like the PowerPoints of the lectures and I would literally almost verbatim for the word of the lecture, I would rewrite them out in my notebook. And I thought in my head that was a very effective way to study or to learn the material. However, as you can imagine, it took a significant amount of time for me to rewrite all of those notes, right? And whenever I cut my study time in half or almost by half, I recognized that, oh wow, I don't have the time to do all of this. And so I completely got rid of it and I started using other techniques that work better for me, right? Which was like verbalizing. I started to use concept maps and things like that, more hands-on kind of learning. That's how I found that I actually learn best. And because of that, I recognized like, oh wow, I can actually learn the material way more efficiently and effectively in less time just by kind of figuring out what works for me best and giving myself less time to do it, which makes my brain act more efficiently and effectively, because how my brain works is, well, I don't have the time to kind of slack off. I don't have the time for distractors. I don't have the time to, get distracted or to procrastinate because I'm only giving myself a certain window to study. But even same with this, I'm not like constricted to say I can only study for 2 hours when I might actually need 4 or 5. I rather just look at it and say, how many effective hours of studying do I need? And I kind of just play it based on what I need. I'm very self-aware like that, where I basically just look at my week. And if I know, if my gut's telling me that I need more hours to study, I'll give myself more hours to study because school comes first. And I can kind of remove some of the other things that I'm involved with out, I can give myself more time to study. But whenever I do that, I'm also looking, I also look and say, okay, do I actually need to give myself more time to study? Or is there an area where I'm procrastinating, or is there an area, or is there something I'm doing where I'm not using my time as efficiently or as effectively as possible? So that's how I do it. I'm always about using my time more efficiently, more effective, and then I can say, okay, how much time do I actually need for this task? And so because of that, I've recognized it's giving me a lot more time available to do other things. Like I'm involved in different projects. It's giving me more time to learn different things off campus. It's giving me time to make these videos and do other projects and things that I truly care about. That's ultimately going to make me a great doctor. It's going to make me a great chiropractor, right? I mentioned, medical school. There's a reason why residents get, 3 to 5 years of experience outside of school, right? As chiropractors, we don't have that built into our curriculum. However, if you use your time effectively, you can get school done and then also kind of utilize your time to learn some of these hands-on things that you can utilize, skills you can utilize as a doctor with that freed amount of time. So to answer the question though, because I kind of went off there for a minute, but to answer the question more effectively, how much time do I use to study? It depends. I'm very self-aware with how much time do I need. Usually it's somewhere around 5 to 6 hours, but hey, if I need 10 hours of studying, I'm gonna give myself 10 hours of studying. I'm self-aware with it and I use my time efficiently and effectively. Yeah, so let's see. Let's go over to my Instagram and see what questions I got over there. If you're not following me on Instagram, you can definitely do that there. I made a post about it. Let's see. So we got a question here from Cody, and Cody asked, what is the hardest class I've taken in undergrad and the hardest class in chiropractic school? So Cody, to answer this question, this is going to be interesting because for me, the hardest classes that I have taken aren't necessarily by the most difficult classes, but it's how invested I was in learning the class, right? So for me, I recognize I'm very sensitive to the teacher that is presenting the material, and if I don't resonate with the teacher, I'm gonna completely tune out the class, and because of that, it's not gonna make me as engaged in the class. I'm just not gonna like it, and I'm not gonna do well in it. I went to WVU, West Virginia University. I was an exercise physiology major, pre-med. So I took a lot of hard classes, but my hardest class that I took in college, hands down, was Chemistry 116. Yep. And the reason being why was because, well, a few reasons. Number one, the class was at 8 a.m. and for me, 8 a.m. classes were like dreaded. I couldn't get up that early. Now I have class at 7 and it's like, okay, it's nothing now. But yeah, and I just didn't resonate with the teacher that well. Her teaching style just did not resonate with me. She was a little bit clutter-minded, a little disorganized, and I just don't resonate with that teaching style. Because of that, I completely just disengaged from the material and I didn't want to learn it, and because of that, it made the class very difficult. Conversely, I did very well. I got A's in organic chemistry, which is a significantly harder class, still chemistry. But yet, why did I get an A in chemistry when I believe I got like a C-? I barely passed Chemistry 116. But yet I got like an A+ and an A in both organic chemistries. And the reason why was because the teacher in organic chemistry was very passionate about organic chemistry and was very good at translating the material into the students and getting the students invested in the classes. Because of that, I got really invested in learning organic chemistry. Even though it was a harder class, I loved the process of learning it because I understood it. I got the deeper purpose behind organic chemistry, and because of that, it made me understand Chemistry 116 better, or the general chemistry better. So I think for me, the teacher presenting the material means everything. And for me, I'm ignited by passion and by purpose, and if you can ignite passion and purpose in me and get me to understand why I need to learn this thing, I'm gonna do well in it. And yeah, and as far as chiropractic school goes, I would say, so far, like I said, I'm only in my first year in, but the hardest class for me has probably been parasitology, which is a class that you need, obviously, to study of parasites, and same deal. Like I think if I had the right teacher presenting the material, I think I could get really into it. I could understand the significance of understanding parasitology, but again, same things. The teacher just didn't resonate with me, and it was just a hard class for me to get. One of my favorite classes I've taken here has been biochemistry, and funny thing is, I used to hate biochemistry in undergrad because, again, same deal. The teachers I didn't resonate with the teaching style. I didn't like the class. I didn't like the material. But yet as I came to school here, I've mentioned in the video the SI instructor, the student instructor, his name's Michael, and he is very, very passionate about biochemistry, an incredible teacher, probably one of the best teachers I've ever had, and he's a student here, which just blows my mind. And he got me to be very passionate, interested in biochemistry. It's why I have a biochemistry textbook. And he's got me really interested in investing in learning biochemistry. And now I respect the field of biochemistry and understand the clinical significance of it and the significance of learning biochemistry and why I should learn it. So yeah, for me, the teacher means everything for me. So for that, I want to flip the question back around to you, Cody, and to everyone else here watching this. What has been your favorite class, your favorite subject, and why? Why do you like learning that subject? What has been your favorite class and why? I'd be interested to know. And if you want your question answered on this Ask Steven segment, you can use the hashtag AskSteven. You can put it in the comments below, or you can reach out to me on YouTube. However you want to get your question across to me, I will find it and I might just answer it on next week's video. What else? Oh, I want to show you guys this. So I talked about productivity. I just saw this book in the corner of my eye. I want to share it with you guys. Is this book here. I just read it. It's called The Productivity Project. Great book where I got a lot of my ideas. Like I said, I've been getting into this whole productivity, efficiency thing here in 2019. This has been a great book for me. And so I think if you're interested in maximizing your time better, becoming more efficient, becoming more productive, getting more done in less time, you should check out this book. Another book you should check out is Cal Newport's stuff. He has a book called How to Get Straight A's or something like that as a student. That's been a book that has helped me out a lot. So I think if you read those two books in conjunction, that will give you a lot of key insights on time management and becoming a better student and manage your time better. So yeah, that's it, guys. I gotta get ready to get out of here. I gotta leave here soon. So if you guys enjoy this one, yeah, send me your questions, and on that one, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.